Good evening and welcome along to another episode of Not Another Rangers podcast. A magnificent comeback in a 7-goal thriller keeps the Dens Park choir silent. But is the victory painting over major cracks? A defence that's leaked 10 goals in its last 6 games, turgid football on Saturday, couldn't string 2 passes together, is Bazball just Clement ball with the sash on in the background? And let's talk about Jack Butland. A handsome man he may be, but a goalkeeper he is not. Spreads the ball about like he's got Ronald McDonald shoes on, dives like he's Tom Daly afraid of the water, and has Oscar Pistorius legs for arms. How many mistakes can this man be allowed to make? Joining me to discuss all that and more is Mr. Ricky Forbes and Ross Clark. Ross, how are we, mate?
Mate, I miss you, man. See, when you're not here, I miss you. That's incredible. It's incredible.
Mate, I miss you too. It's good to see you. You're looking well, mate. You're looking really well.
Thank you very much, mate. I'm trying to get myself in shape in case I get the phone call for Stevie G next year to take all the gloves. I mean, I'm grew horns and everything. Look, horns, actual horns.
And Rickster, how are we, mate? Did you have a good
Great,
weekend?
mate. Yeah, that was some intro, that, pal. That was absolutely incredible, man. I think that was your best yet, like. That was, they've been keeping you in cold storage just for that, mate. That was pottery. No, a really good weekend, mate. Really good weekend. Rangers obviously give you heart attacks, but it is what it is. We're used to it now, you know, 5 goal for hours, 6 goal for hours, 7 goal for hours. It's amazing, mate.
No, absolutely. And it's great to have both your company this evening. So let's get right into it. Now, all the other podcasts have been on before us, so see this breaking it down and all the rest of it. I think we should just get into the nitty gritty. And the first place I want to start is Jack Butland, Ross, and I'll come to you first. Now, to me, I think Jack Butland's form fell off a cliff the minute Gareth Southgate's goalkeeping coach at England said that they were looking at him as potential for second or third choice last year. And then they came to watch him in the 3-3 Old Firm game. I think he had 2 mistakes in that game. He had a major clanger in the cup final. This year, you think back to Motherwell at Fir Park, the Tony Watt incident. You can think of the first Old Firm game at Parkhead this year. You can think of Motherwell at Ibrox. You can think of the weekend there again. And that's just a small sample size that I can rhyme off the top of my head just now. Where do we stand as him being a Rangers number 1? Because to my knowledge, I've been spoiled with the goalkeepers that have been there, but I can't remember a goalkeeper having such a bad season and been it so easy to rhyme off as many mistakes just so candidly as I have. Where do you stand on Jack Butland now?
Where do you start? You forgot was it Kilmarnock or St Mirren, the one who came out at Ibrox and absolutely poleaxed again, which was probably the worst of the lot, mate. I've been arguing right back to probably the Rabble days when I was on there, and everybody was giving me the Super Jack Butland patter. He's a bad goalie that has good games rather than a good goalie who has 1 or 2 bad games, in my opinion. I was listening a bit, my wee lassie was at horse riding there, and I was listening a bit, and Andy Halliday put it right for me. See if the roles were reversed and Liam Kelly was in goals now, folk would be screaming for his head. And I think that Jack Butland is in the team based on being the name of Jack Butland. Don't get me wrong, he obviously done well in Europe, the two penalty saves, can't take that away from him, but I've said to you, Davey, talking over the last few weeks, I think Jack Butland thinks Rangers are lucky to have him about the place, and he feels as if he's doing us a favour. And the goal against Motherwell and the goal yesterday, you're not going to tell me that's because he's got a makeshift defence. That's because he's got the concentration levels of me, and I'm riddled with undiagnosed ADHD and run on caffeine. So, like, mate, that's concentration, pure and simple. The thing for me is he's repeating mistakes. It's not like you look at Motherwell and yesterday, you look at Motherwell and Man United, 2 goals in 3 games. He punched the ball in his own net. Yesterday, there's a chance just before the third goal that he comes out into the middle of no man's land. The boy tries to dink it over him. But see if the boy touches it around him, he's poleaxing him as well. He's so rash. For me, a guy of 6'5", he covers his front post and leaves the rest of the goal gaping. You've seen that at the third goal. You've seen that at the Kyogo goal you spoke about. Other goals where he comes out to narrow the angle and people just place the ball in the far corner and it's wide open. Mate, I just don't get it. I don't get it. He's another one that, for me, there's probably 4 or 5 better goalies in this league that are on a third of the wage that Jack Butland's on. And to me, that becomes an issue at that point.
I will apologise to everybody that's commenting at the moment. I don't actually have access to pull them up, but obviously Linda and Paul are both agreeing with you. I just want to stick with you, Ross, because of your goalkeeping specialties at the moment. See, for me, I don't think he moves or adjusts his feet quick enough, and I'm just a layman. But see the one where it just went past the post. In fact, actually, if we take Tiffany's goal, for example, the one that he scores to make it 3-1, to me, he has left him a big part of the goal aim it. But see where the ball went in the net, it's just his right-hand side. Surely if he adjusts his feet quick enough, he can spread himself to make that there. Or am I seeing something that I shouldn't be seeing?
I said to the boys yesterday in the group chat, mate, I think he dives as if he's on a trampoline. He doesn't set his feet. He looks as if he's bouncing at all times. Like the shots go down low and he dives up and out rather than dropping down. He's just strange. Is that because of his size? I'm actually looking for the text, mate, in the group chat. There was quite a lot of text for me in the group chat yesterday, quite a lot of bitching, to be honest. But what I would say is I messaged in the chat right before it, Butland with the ball at his feet puts us under pressure. They've got a long throw specialist. The ball comes, he kicks it. Rather than taking a touch and looking for a pass, we're playing 5 at the back yesterday against Dundee. He's got options and he shells it out for throw-ins constantly. And I feel as if that in itself puts people on edge. And no later had I typed that, my next message was, what the fuck's he up to now? Like that, it's a simple catch. Is he thinking about where he's going to play the ball? Is he in his head? Does he already got it caught for the first goal? But in the lead up before the first goal, I called it out, and Ricky will tell you the same. I said in the chat right away, he causes mayhem in our defence because he can't even take possession of the ball and play out. You're playing 5 at the back. You want to get width. You want to control the ball. He's a major reason why we don't control games. You look at the other side of the city and Schmeichel and even their sub-goalie that played yesterday, they're happy to take the ball, take a touch, draw in a striker and pass either side of them. And that's how you build the play. It's a major contributing factor as to why your midfield can't control a game, is because when we try and hold on to the ball, it just gets lumped right out into touch. And ironically, the one good kick he's put all season is the one that set up Diomande for the winner in the Old Firm game.
No, I totally agree. CGM, I really liked your comment, mate. I wish I could have brought it up. But Ricky, where do you stand? Because for me, I don't see him as a Rangers number 1. I don't think he's got the stature. He's not got the ability. He might talk well and present himself well in a media game, but I just don't see the signs there of how we see a traditional Rangers number 1 goalkeeper.
No, he's on a huge wage as well, you know. I mean, when he came in from Stoke City, I was listening to a few Stoke City podcasts. A few Rangers guys had the Stoke City boys on, and they basically said what we're getting now with Butland. They says if you get him at his best, he's a top goalkeeper. But the problem is when he loses form, he really, really struggles to get that form back, and that's what we're seeing now. I mean, we're not speaking about the odd game here. Like Ross says, the good performances are rare now, and this has been going on for over a year. He's been actually a poorer goalkeeper now at Rangers for longer than he has been a good goalkeeper. He was all right for about 8 months, and then we all thought, okay, he might have a sniff of getting into the England team. And as soon as that didn't materialise, then he's been an absolute disaster. But it's to be honest, mate, I think we need 2 goalkeepers. I don't think either of the goalkeepers are good enough. I don't think Kelly's good enough. I don't think he's confident enough to even be a Rangers number 2, but never mind the number 1. And I don't think Butland is good enough. I think they both need replaced in the summer. But the problem is, I don't know how many years Butland's got left on his contract, but he's not going to be easy to get rid of in the summer. There's not going to be a lot of teams, I think, desperate when they see the way that he's been playing this season for Rangers. Is that fragility has been there his whole career. And it's really difficult. But he needs replaced. Their whole defence, basically, mate. I mean, the left back situation's just as bad. The whole defence needs absolutely ripped up. I mean, there's been a massive debate the last couple of days, and I'm sure we'll get into it about Dessers and stuff like that. And I'm sure we'll talk about that, mate. But the defence, to win a league title, your defence has to be absolutely solid. I mean, when with the COVID season, I can't remember how many goals we conceded, but it was a ridiculous low number. And you're watching the staunch Avengers, as you call them, the Ferguson's Rangers, man, and it's like that 4-3. I actually still felt like a defeat on Saturday, even though we scored a last-minute winner. You were buzzing, but Ferguson was amazing after the match, and but oh my God, that defence, the whole defence, including the goalkeepers, needs ripped up, and we need to build a solid defence if we have any hope of winning any title, mate. That's what you need to do to win a title. You can't have 4 clowns and the biggest clown in goal. It's just not going to happen.
No, I totally agree, and I will pick you back up on that, Ricky. I'll just give the last word to Ross on the Butland situation. Scott Kearney said in the comments, what is the goalkeeping coach doing? Do you put any of this down to Alan McGregor, Ross? I think you're on mute, mate. Sorry.
Yellow card, man. I'm slagging Butland's concentration. Jesus Christ. What I'm going to tell you, mate, is 2 of the weakest points of Butland's games, playing with the ball at his feet and coming for crosses, commanding his box. What's McGregor got to teach anybody about that? It's what I've said all along when people were saying McGregor should be the goalie coach. The two most important part of modern goalkeeping is being able to play with the ball at your feet and commanding your box. And McGregor is a naturally gifted shot stopper. You can't teach that. You can't teach what McGregor's got. You're seeing it the same at Hearts. Craig Gordon, ball at his feet, terrible. Doesn't command his box, but has got that natural ability to produce a worldie, and it's probably what keeps him in the team. It's what kept McGregor in the team. You think back to 2 seasons ago, at the time, or 3 seasons ago, at the time where I was getting murdered for saying Xander could come in and play for Rangers, and folk were going, no, McGregor, but McGregor's not going to teach somebody how to take a touch and look for a pass, because it wasn't his game. How can he tell? And before him, Colin Stewart taught McGregor. So he couldn't teach McGregor it. So the goalie coach in itself is one that's strange as well. Come the end of the season, I think we should be looking to, because we had an Apple baby who was in that department for overseeing their managers. He was like a locust in a fucking World War fallout zone. But that's probably in our position where we need to go and get somebody progressive that can do the finer parts of the game, in my opinion.
No, I think that's fair comment. So, Ricky, you started talking about the defence, and I do kind of want to pick it apart, if you will. The way I look at it on Saturday, if you look at the first goal, yeah, it's a good bit of sort of finishing for Simon Murray, but defensively, James Tavernier's very passive at the set piece, and defensively, James Tavernier has always been questionable, it's fair to say. Our left backs are going through possibly 2 of the worst runs of form that I have ever seen left backs have at the moment. We don't have a recognised left-sided centre half, and John Souttar, unfortunately, has never had the reliability season after season that he's been here. There's always been a spell where he's had out injured. Yes, it's not as much as what it was in his first 2 seasons, but he's still missed a handful of games this season. Leon Balogun is 37 and blowing out his arse after 25 minutes of a game, and Robin Proper can't be trusted. So really, if we're playing with a back 5 or a back four, are we saying that only really one of them can defend?
Well, you summed that. You summed the defence up pretty well there, mate. It was no, the team needs a new spine, mate. We're miles away for challenging for a title. We're every week we're going from one disaster to another. I don't think you can blame Ferguson for it or anything like that, but we hoped he would be able to come in and you see the state of the defence. It started actually with Raskin. We were slack straight from the kick-off, and Ferguson said it at the end of the match. He told them exactly what Dundee were going to do, because they do the same every time at Dens Park. They come out the traps, they punt balls into our defence, they get Simon Murray, they try and turn us. They did exactly what we did to Celtic in the last Old Firm game. They pinned us in, Raskin made a mistake, they pinned us in, got the corner. They know that Tavernier's susceptible with situations like that. Straight into Simon Murray, got the run on tab, bang, top corner, 1-0. Then we're all over the place, and Dundee's the team that's on the ascendancy. We need, honestly, mate, I'm not exaggerating that, and people laugh at me. I think this squad needs 17 new players before we can challenge for it, and that's been. And folk think no, we don't. We just need 5 or 6. They're absolutely dreaming, man. Celtic go from weekend to weekend, and they make every SPL team look absolutely easy. They turn up, everyone thinks, Hearts will give them a game. They're 3-0 up after 25 minutes. Their defence is solid. They've got solid defenders. You'll hear crap from our fans going, oh, Tavernier's a better defender than Johnston. Oh, their left back is rubbish. Oh, he's crap. But we're living in cuckoo land, man. The proof is there. We're 16 points behind. We go from weekend to weekend. We're conceding 2. Since this is a record now since the 1980s, the first time that we've conceded 2 goals in so many games. All this Rangers team does is break bad records. It's been going on now. When Comont was the manager, how many records did he break? Well, like the Scottish Cup one, the defensive record, where it needs ripped up. It doesn't matter who the manager is, if it's Ferguson or if it's someone else. It needs completely ripped up from top to bottom. About the left backs, I mean, Yilmaz, mate, what the hell was that 60 minutes when he was on the park, man? We're going on about, I know the wind was difficult and the pitch is difficult. Dens Park, it's like quite a stodgy pitch. It was quite wet and everything like that. But Butland was booting the ball at the park. But Yilmaz, you're playing 3-5-2. And you need your fullbacks to be on that attack, and you need your fullbacks to be putting in decent deliveries, man. Every time Yilmaz got the ball, he nearly put it out the stand. It was incredible what you were watching. And then Yefty comes on, and within 2 seconds, the boy absolutely skins him. He's like the worst defending left back. Honestly, get them both out of Rangers. Yefty is miles short of what you need for Rangers. I thought you could coach him in, but he's such a bad defender. And Yilmaz as well, man. The whole defence needs ripped up. The spine of the team needs ripped up. And it needs to be, we need some serious money spent on this team.
Ricky, can I throw you a curveball on the left back situation? I'm playing devil's advocate here and a wee bit of shithousery, but the last player to cross the divide was Kenny Miller. There is a left back and a Scottish left back out of contract, and his name is Greg Taylor. Do you think there's any chance of the boyhood Rangers fan crossing the divide and filling that vacant left back slot?
I think Boyd just likes winding them up, to be honest with you. He was at the wind up with Boyd loves winding them up. He's won too many, to be honest, he's won too many medals at Celtic. He's just not going. I think he's already agreed a deal anyway. I can't remember where, but I think he's already agreed a deal. Maybe after he would definitely not go from Celtic to Rangers, but he might go away, and then in the future, if we're still struggling, then he might come back. But I would be playing Robbie Fraser if he was still at the club, to be honest, and I think Ferguson would as well. You can see he's already bombed out McCausland. He's already bombed out. There's a few players that you can tell that he just doesn't fancy when he's watching them in training, and I think Fraser would probably. I think he likes Yilmaz, he likes his attitude and stuff, but his performances. I mean, the money we paid for him, he's been an absolute disaster of a signing, and we need to get this defence sorted out, mate. Because any team that you want to challenge for the title, it starts with your defence. We all know that, and we just have nothing in our defence whatsoever.
Just in case anybody thought that's actually what I was thinking, I was just running off the back of Chris Boyd's comment. So if you hadn't seen it, you'll find that online. I think it's on the Sun, and you can have a wee swatch at that. But Roscoe, Ricky brought up the manager there, and I kind of want to touch on him just now because he has got that wee bit of leeway with the fan base because he, who he is as a player and the trophies that he won for the club. But I mentioned at the top of the show, the last 6 games we've conceded 10 goals. Only one of those games was 1 goal. The rest of them was 2 and above. So if I start back at Kelly, we lost 2, then 2 at home to Motherwell, 1 away to Fenerbahce, 2 at home to Fenerbahce, 2 away to Celtic, and then 3 away to Dundee. That is the run of Barry Ferguson's game in charge of a manager. Now, you can't tell me that if the manager's name wasn't Barry Ferguson, the fan base wouldn't have major questions about the amount of goals that we're currently leaking.
And we're playing 5 at the back. At the weekend we played 3 centre halves up against Simon Murray. I don't want to spread accusations, but Ricky here was saying last week Ferguson was a 10 out of 10 after the Fenerbahce game. 10 out of 10. We were 2-0 down to Kilmarnock. We got humped off Motherwell, and then we got humped off Fenerbahce at Ibrox. Mate, I put a tweet out yesterday, and I should have known it would end up winning the game. I should have caveated it at the time, but they can't even be in the top 10 candidates for taking our Rangers in the summer. I get it. Everybody loves it. He drives an orange Ranger and he's all that and skates along the touchline and all that. But no for me, mate. The form's horrendous, mate. It's not even a good new manager bounce. Clement, Beale, Van Bronckhorst all went on big winning runs on their new manager bounce. We've not even had that. Mate, to be fair, quite a lot of big names on Twitter are all over Ferguson to get the job full time, but it's not for me. It's not for me at all, to be honest. If it's not him that's in charge, well, as you say, you're asking major questions, but he's getting a pass.
But Ross, see the goals that we're losing at the moment. I don't see any, defensive shape about us. I see us panic the minute that teams press us, and that was the same for our last 3 or 4 managers. We had a good first half against Celtic because we went at them, but the minute they came back at us, that's when we started to struggle. And again, Simon Murray pressed us right for the off, and that's when we sort of reverted tight. Dujon Sterling, who's normally sort of Mr. Robust, can almost play anywhere, again, is 3-4 yards behind the rest of the defensive line. Surely these are the types of things that you work on the grass that make sure that none of that happens.
I just, I didn't understand. Again, I said in the group chat the other day, I'm going to sound like a broken record because I'm on about all this. Everybody knows that. CJD in the chat as well. Why are we playing 3 centre halves against Simon Murray? And even when we are playing 3 centre halves against Simon Murray, how are they getting so much joy? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Ross, he's playing 3 centre halves against Dundee because he doesn't trust the shite that's in the squad. We were losing these games a month ago, like JD says in the comments there. It's not, when I say Ferguson 10 out of 10, it's no. I don't think he's the best manager in the world, but these players, that's what these players are. He's telling the truth. His interview after the match was absolutely superb. He wasn't sugarcoating it. He wasn't acting like, okay, we've won the match 4-3. We were absolutely brilliant here. He went in that dressing room and he told these guys, he's trying, the squad is absolutely pathetic. It is so bad. Like, they turned up in Europe and they played absolutely fantastic. They turned up against Celtic, like Davey says, for a good 60 minutes. Okay, the players, but the managers are absolutely being driven crazy by these players. Nobody can work these players out. How can they turn up? We'll probably turn up and beat Bilbao. We'll probably lose to Hibs on Saturday. It wouldn't surprise me. And then on Thursday, we turn up and win 2-0. And it's like, he's trying to get through to these players. Like he told them exactly what Dundee were going to do yesterday, and still these players let Dundee go 3-0 up. They could have been 3-0 up. That was, I don't even hit that film on Yilmaz was lucky as anything, and that's it. It's like when I say 10 out of 10, he's telling these players, he's telling them the home truths that we would, if we were in the dressing room, we would want to be telling them the home truths as well, because these players need to hear it, you know.
Remember, fans were getting criticised for going outside Ibrox and giving them the home truths.
No, that's a fair point as well.
People gave them home truths and get criticised for doing it. You shouldn't be approaching them. You shouldn't be telling them their egos are that they're already broken. Now, this, how many players from that Dundee starting 11 would get into the Rangers starting 11? Even the starting 11 we played yesterday. So it's no. So what I'm saying is, it's no a lack of quality. We've got 11 better players than them. We should be able to go and take the game to them. What we've done now is fell into a 5-3-2 that worked well against Celtic because they're a decent side. But you can't go and start playing that against Dundee. Are you going to play 5-3-2 against Hibs at Ibrox and Aberdeen in the next couple of weeks? Because that's what's working. We shouldn't need... We've got Raskin, Diomande and Barron in the middle of the park. Their best midfielder wasn't playing, but he's coming to us next year. And people are saying, what are we going after him for? He'll just be a squad player. So you can't tell me it's a standard of players that Ferguson's working with. Mate, we're playing 5 at the back and still getting overrun by Dundee. So see, if, to me, that if you can't blame the manager for that, the manager can't tweak that, then I get it. It's everybody wants to be staunch and everybody wants to see Barry Ferguson doing well, club legend, this, that and the other. But mate, that is not good enough. And if you or anybody else would be happy to have a takeover, an investment, multi-millions of pounds, hundreds of millions of pounds next season, and seeing Barry Ferguson getting wheeled out as the man at the helm, I don't know, mate. Maybe it could just be me, mate. Maybe I'm a Barry basher and I don't know it. But
a Barry basher.
I just think to myself, like, I reckon us three could be on the touchline and turn them into a gang that will go and win games. But if you're in that job and you're auditioning, you're 5 at the back against Dundee, mate. Jesus peeps.
Most folk that watch this podcast call me another type of basher, but moving on swiftly. And if we look at the balance in the midfield, because Tom Lawrence come on, and as Paul said in the comments, he scored a great goal, but I'm not sure what Tom Lawrence's level of fitness is and how much he could get. Ultimately, Barry Ferguson said when you come in, train the way you play and you'll be in my team, and Tom Lawrence hasn't started for him. So to me, that kind of says, you know, what he must be doing in training. But it was a great finish. But I think Raskin and Diomande are better pressing the ball, and they'd be better with a 6 behind them, allowing it to play. But I don't think Connor Barron is that type of player. So should we maybe try Tom Lawrence a bit deeper because he's comfortable on the ball? Or what is the right blend between now and the end of the season, Ricky?
Well, it was a big call bringing Rice on at half time, and I think that worked. I thought it was still a little bit basketball until they started singing Ferguson's name, and then Tav smacked one in the top corner, and then we after that we completely dominated. But you're right, the midfield didn't work. It was surprising. Diomande, he's a strange player, mate. I mean, the big games he's absolutely fantastic. Against Celtic, he's fantastic. In Europe, he's fantastic. And then you play him in a run-of-the-mill SPL game, and the players run rings around him. It's so strange how he doesn't dominate the midfield. And he's very unfit as well. Like, he's always knackered after about 50, 60 minutes, Diomande. It's very, very strange how a professional footballer now, this time of the season, it's not like we're playing that many games, you know. It's not like a normal season where, like, we're seem to be playing every 3 days. They're getting plenty of breaks. Okay, he was away with his international team, but he looks so leggy in the midfield. But I thought when Rice came on, I didn't think Rice was spectacular, but he did that job that you're on about. He just stayed in the number 6. I thought Raskin, he came onto a game in the second half, and he was starting to drive the team on and like move the ball, carry the ball forward, and dictate the play. So I thought that worked quite well. So that might be an idea for Hibs. The problem with Tom Lawrence is, I mean, it was a great goal and a great finish, and the subs did make a massive difference. Danilo made a big difference when he came on. I was surprised that Dessers survived, but he did, and then scored the winner. So we'll speak about that later. But no, the midfield definitely. I think in some matches, barring Raskin and Diomande, will work. But I agree with Ross. Not for your run-of-the-mill SPL games. You need a little bit more in there. I thought Haji was super disappointing when he came on again. I know that he's probably left and he's checked out, so it's tough because they don't have that much options. They're bringing on these players, and some of them just it's the level of performance they show when they come on don't show you that they want to be in the team. If it's not Bajrami, it's Haji. Okay, Lawrence scored a great goal, so it will be interesting to see what he does against Hibs.
Ross, I've seen on Twitter that you've been criticised at times for your comments on Diomande, but I think that they're fair because Ricky articulated there that there's certain games that don't suit him. And JD said in the comments that he looked uncomfortable against the sort of physical prowess of Silla, and I think that was evident for us all to see. So if he's no cut out for domestic football, then should we not be looking to move him on in the summer, regardless of how well he plays against Celtic in the next Old Firm game or how well he does away in the fixture in Bilbao? Where do you see, easy for me to pronounce, where do you see Diomande's future? Because I'm not convinced it's at Ibrox.
I can see he's a good player, right? And I get backlash all the time. I'm always on John Walker's case every time he has a bad game, and he's on mine when he has a good game. But see against Queen's Park, see against Motherwell, see yesterday against Dundee, I want my £4.5 million showpiece of the team midfielder to be getting on the ball, to be having shots, to be putting in tackles, to be taking. Look at a Callum McGregor. I want that. Somebody that's going to take the ball in tight spaces and recycle it. Tom Lawrence comes on. Why does Tom Lawrence cause all sorts of issues whenever he comes on for us? Because he can take a strike for distance. Teams don't know whether to stone off him or whether to shut him down. They dash out to stop him from shooting, and it opens up an avenue to play a pass. If they don't commit to him, he does what he can do yesterday. For £4.5 million, it's very much Joe Aribo for me. Joe Aribo looked great in that Europa League run, but in the league, in the hustle and bustle, was he always great? No. People will tell me you bought Dio for £4.5 million, and based on his European performances, there's every chance he'll make money, and he's been man of the match in 6 out of 12 European games, and the amount of European money we've brought in will pay for him 10 times over. Cool. The other side of the city are just moving. Celtic are just moving ahead of us because we can't do it in the bread and butter. And I would rather get packed out the knockout stages of the Europa League and win the league at the end of the season and have trophies in the cabinet. And I don't think we're getting that, because when it comes to the bread and butter and the hustle and bustle of Scottish football and the rough and ready, for me, it doesn't tackle, it doesn't assist, it doesn't score in the games like yesterday in Queen's Park when we really need our centre midfield to take control of a game. Is there a lot of that today with the fact that we sometimes bypass the midfield? Aye, but go and demand it then. Drop back deeper. Yesterday I said as well, Igamane's playing as a sort of 10, but even he's back on the edge of the box trying to get involved. He's running by Diomande and Raskin, who I thought was pretty poor yesterday as well, to try and get on the ball. I want them doing that. I want my £4.5 million midfielder going and getting on the ball and dominating the game when the rest of the team are struggling, and putting us on his back and dragging the team through. And I don't see it for him at all. And when it comes to the hustle and bustle of Scottish football, and there's nothing up with that. You can admit that somebody's a good player, but in Scotland, for me, he's a luxury player that we can't afford.
Anything to add to that, Ricky, on Diomande?
No, yeah, I totally agree. We need to see him. I mean, we keep making excuses for him, and then he was good in the 10-day period. The Fenerbahce and Celtic, he was good with the three, but that's not the games that we need. We need him playing well in their games, but we need him playing good in the bread and butter games as well. We want a challenge for a title. If we're spending 4 or 5 million on a player, he needs to be shown it. You know, we've got this debate going on with Czerny. People are saying, will you spend 6 million, 5 million, 7 million on Czerny? And Czerny's posting numbers and scoring goals. Diomande is, you know, he's a strange in the Scottish game. You're running the mill. It's just really weird the way he performs, and we need to see a lot more from him, to be honest, Davey.
I definitely agree, and I agree with what you said, Ross, about Raskin. Maybe the week he had, he just went in with the right mentality and thought that was going to be easy, because that was one of his poorest games of the season, I felt, that he had on Saturday. But Ricky brought up Czerny there, Ross, and I just want to ask you, are we a one-man team? Because we seem to be, whether Czerny has a good game or a bad game, we seem to fall off it when he's missing. And everything we try and hit goes through him coming inside the pitch. And when he's no there, we look devoid of ideas. So are we a one-man team?
No. The problem we've got now is we're setting up as if we're a one-man team, and that one man's Dessers. We're building. He's the undroppable in our team now, despite the fact Danilo's back fit. Come on, yesterday I seen somebody in the chat, not sure who it was. What did he offer yesterday? Well, he set up Tom Lawrence's goal, and he created the space for was it Tavernier's goal? He linked up the play. Our best form of the season against the Dross had Danilo playing in the 10 and Diomande playing up top. And I don't care what MD says yesterday, Diomande puts his ball through the laces. His laces through the ball. And if you give Diomande 12 shots on goal, I'd imagine he scores more than one, based on one-on-ones with a goalie. If you give Czerny 12 chances, he scores more than one. Czerny's a weird one for me. Would I sign him if the rumoured 5.5 million? If we've got 20 million, maybe aye. But if we've got a tight budget in the summer, 5.5 million for Czerny, or do we find a way? And if start again, if it goes the way I think it'll go and Gerrard comes back, I think you go back to the way he played that won you the league, with a 4-3-3 with the two inverted 10s that will come inside and cause trouble. Can he play that, or does he need the natural width? I don't know. I'd like to see him in that. But you look at some of the players we're going to lose as well, Davey, and I just think that you're going to lose Hadji, you're going to lose Lawrence, you're going to lose potentially Diomande, potentially, every chance. And I just think that if you've got somebody there that's going to guarantee you some numbers, then I don't think that there's an issue with that, as long as you've got enough of a budget to solve the rest of the team. I wouldn't put all my eggs in that one basket, to be honest.
Ricky, does Ross make an interesting point about Czerny maybe playing as a 10 and is maybe going with two 10s behind a striker, or even two strikers with a 10? Because I kind of see similarities to Ronald de Boer in terms of, I'm not saying he's anywhere near as good as what Ronald de Boer is, but he plays his best stuff inside the pitch, just off a striker. I think when he's out wide at times, you see Czerny get isolated, but where he can really hurt teams is inside the pitch. Do you think that's maybe something that we can do between now and the end of the season?
Yeah, no, I'd love to see us keeping him, to be honest. I mean, his numbers are superb, but we've been struggling on that right side for ages. So Ross has put an exclusive in the comments. He started a riot with his Gerrard comment. They're wondering where it's coming from. No, but he could be right. He could be absolutely right. You know, the big name and stuff like that. And he's quite flexible, Czerny. I mean, he played really well with the 5-3-2. He worked fantastic, or he worked pretty well. I wouldn't say fantastic, but against Fenerbahce away, he was absolutely superb with that space and running into the space. And he's a player that can win you a game on his own. I mean, he's done it in Europe many times this season, where but he's also a player that can be really frustrating. But we have probably overused him because we've had no other choice. I mean, the difference between him and Ross McCausland is absolutely chalk and cheese. So we've had to play him far too many minutes, and maybe this little bit of a rest before the big games coming up against the Spaniards will maybe do him the world of good. So he is flexible, and he is a player that can, when he's left-footed, he can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can play just off the 10 or just off the striker. So I would love to see him staying at the club. I don't think every player needs to be 23, 24 with sell-on value. So we'll see what happens at the end of the season. And there's rumours the takeover is going to be delayed by a few weeks. That was the rumour I saw on X today, just with the paperwork and stuff like that. But if they do take over, then Czerny would be a nice present to start everything off in the summer.
So, well, there's no point avoiding it now. We'll just get on to it. I think we can mix this in and bring a sort of couple of different, fingers in the pies, if you will, with Dessers, Ross. And obviously, he'll always continue a split opinion for however long he's here. I genuinely think this summer is the time to sell, because he'll be 31 for the start of next season. We might get, some value in terms of his goals returns over the last 2 seasons have been good numbers. So, all the stat people will look at that, or the data analysts at different clubs across the continent will look at that. But we've got a player who's mid-20s in Danilo that we've spent £6 million on, and that was in the hope that we were probably going to get a resale on that. We're depreciating his value to accommodate Dessers, and you've seen the good and the bad of Dessers. Yes, he pops up with a winner, but that game could have been out of sight. Has somebody put those chances away? And we just need somebody more reliable than Dessers. So what do we do here? Is it sell Dessers? Is it sell Danilo and take what you can get for him? Is Diomande the guy that should play in front of the two of them? I don't know the answer. What is the answer?
Now you're asking a question. Mate, I just think you can look at Dessers in 2 ways, right? You can look purely at stats. He scores goals, right? Nobody can deny that. But you're the width of the goal frame away from them going 4-3 up yesterday, and we got the park and he scores, right? See, of the 12 chances he had yesterday, how many of them does a Diomande score? How many of them does Danilo score? Because bearing in mind, Danilo's goal to game to minutes appearance ratio is unbelievable. Come on, scores goals. If you put a Chris Boyd in there, many would he score out of 12? So I think the issue is we are building a team around a guy who needs 8, 10, 12 chances to score 1 goal, and gets worse when you take into account the numerous chances he's had against Celtic, games where you really need him to be clinical one touch. And don't get me wrong, in Europe against Man U, etc., some of the goals he scores are absolute worldies. But for me, I want somebody who is putting the ball in the net and offering something to the team. You hate to look across and talk up other players, but you look at Maida this season, he's not even played up front for Celtic most of the season. He's played on the wing, and he's just a danger. He pulls defences everywhere. I think he's got 30 goals this season. Did I read just the 30? And Dessers should have the numbers. Dessers should be walking off the park yesterday with 2 match balls. Should be walking off the park like Yon. And instead, we're back to talking about, he's scored the winning goal. Like, big fucking whoopty. Like, it gets to the point where I'm just like, I don't know, Davey, I'm the same as you. Like, is there going to be better strikers? Of course there is. What's a better striker going to cost you? Is a better striker going to be fit all the time? Arguably, Danilo's a better striker than Dessers, better football player, better movement, holds the ball up, brings other people in well. To me, looks as if he's every bit as good a goal scorer, but he's never fit. So that's another. I think with Dessers, it's very much getting towards the Chris Boyd realm, where if I was managing them, I would be bringing him maybe off the bench yesterday to try and get you a late winner. And games against Celtic, he'd be sitting on the bench as well because he's not that useful in certain games. There's other games where you know that he's going to make an impact. But if we go into next season and Cyril Dessers is still your first choice number 9, I don't see us winning the league again. And the proof's in the pudding. He scored 20 goals the last 2 seasons. But see, last season, when we got close to them and we overtook them and he folded like a pack of cards. He went on another drought when the going got tough. And see, now the pressure's off. Everybody knows we're not going to win the league this season. The pressure's off and he's coming up with some goals and stuff. For me, he's not reliable enough. He needs too many chances to score. And I'd love to know how many shots he's had this season, how many on target to get those. Is it 22 goals or something he scored? 24? Something along they kind of lines. So the amount of chances you need to create, I just think if you had a proper finisher up front, what you would give to have that Tony Cholak back. Tony Cholak gets 12 chances yesterday, he's scoring 6 minimum because he was a finisher. And that's what we need to kill these games off, to get rid of the nervousness. It's the same at both ends. You've got Dessers missing sitters at one end and you've got a goalie that's dropping clangers at the other. And everything in between them becomes muddled. So for me, Dessers is sell him the now, as you say. You'll get some mad virgin sitting behind a laptop somewhere that will tell you that he's had X amount of XG in the last 13 months and all that part. My eyes tell me that he's no a Rangers number 9 and he's never going to be good enough to win a league for Rangers because in the crunch moments, he's not reliable enough.
Ricky, Ross, mate.
I'm sorry, boys. That was absolutely a rant.
No, I think you articulated it very well. You hit the nail in the head with Dessers. And Ricky, if we take Ross's point and then look at Danilo and Igamani, Igaman is Igamani, I don't know what his name, however you pronounce it, 2.5 million, and he is the development player, but he's been forced in early enough. And there's signs of some real talent there, but he needs a run of games to lead the line and not just be moved out of position to accommodate others. But then Danilo is your big money signing that never plays, is always sort of inundated with injuries, a bit like John Souttar. But for the last, 10 games or whatever, he's been on the bench and never really had more than 20 minutes at any one time. So what is the solution going forward between now and the end of the season? Because I think we know what Dessers can do, but if we're looking at 2 games in the quarterfinals of the Europa League, who's got the most quality in terms of our front line to do damage to the opposition?
Yeah, no, I would like to see Danilo start against Hibs on Saturday, mate. 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. Egerman on the left and Cherney on the right. And if it goes well and they 3 play well, then I would keep that for the Thursday night. You can't be playing them at home in that 3-5-2 formation. They'll absolutely rip us apart at Ibrox. They'll make us look like we've never played football before. So we need to go after them with the crowd and use the crowd with the noise. So for me, I would like to see Danilo start. And I completely agree with everything Ross said about Dessers. You can argue about his stats and all that, but remember, we were going for the league at Ross County and he went back to... He's so erratic. He's like, I've never ever seen a player like him in my entire life. He can never be a shit Philip Sebo, or he actually plays like Ronaldo R9. It's absolutely incredible, the seesaw with the guy. And but the problem we have is I think Ferguson and Dodds absolutely love him. I agree. Like they've got it in their heads that he's going to come good and he's the man to build the team around, and I just don't see it myself. I know that he got us back into the game against Kilmarnock and he scored the winner against Dundee. I don't know about you guys, but you just had a feeling he was going to score the winner after I did anyway. As soon as Tav scored, I just had it in my head. You can see it a mile away. Dessers is going to score the winner here, and then Simon Murray nearly grabbed the goal at the end. But he's too. I put in Twitter today, and there was a lot of stuff going back and forward with people. He's just too erratic to go for a championship. You need a player like Chris Boyd for the bread and butter games that's going to take more of these chances. You can't be missing 12 chances in a match, and every single finish felt like it was the same. Every time he was clean through, he smashed it right into the goalkeeper. You're like, Jesus. He said he was trying different finishes, but I didn't see any different finishes. All I saw was a player that just kept hitting the goalkeeper. He was driving you absolutely crazy. But fair play to him, he did come good at the end. But if you're going for a championship, you need your goal. You need. I mean, in Scotland, your striker at Rangers and Celtic should be scoring 30 goals a season. That's the sort of striker you need. And I know people are in the chat. I'll say, "Oh, they spent 9 million on Ida, and these strikers cost money." With good scouting, there is good strikers that in Scotland, with the amount of chances we create, can score you goals. So that striker is out there, and it's up to our management team to go and find him. I wouldn't be surprised if I think Dessers will be moved on. I don't think we'll keep him at the end of the season, because I think there will be, because of how well he's doing in Europe, I think there will be teams interested, and you can probably get your money back for him, at least 4 or 5 million for him. So if that's the case, you would be absolute mad not to cash in at the end of the season and have that as a major. We've got so many positions that need strengthened, but strikers definitely one.
No, absolutely. Ross, we obviously have John Souttar and Diomande suspended for the first leg of the quarter-final in the Europa. So Saturday against Hibs, do you think that's where the manager experiments with his potential defensive lineup for how he's going to shape up against the Spaniards, or can we no afford to drop John Souttar against Hibs at the minute?
No, we can't afford to, mate. Ferguson is going to play his strongest team because in his head he's still auditioning for the job, mate. He can tell everybody all he wants that he's not thinking beyond the end of the season. He's here for 3 months. But Ferguson, and quite rightly so, if he can go unbeaten at the end of the season, will fancy his chances. His chances are the middle of a parliament, but he'll want to keep up the pretense that he can get results for the Rangers manager. So I don't think he will drop Souttar out, mate. I think he'll play his best team. I'll tell you what, I'd be absolutely shitting my brakes if he doesn't play his best team, because things can go awry even with our best defence playing, never mind starting to experiment. What I would say to you is, looking back at Christmas time and everybody going, "Oh, you can't look backwards, you've got to always look." We brought in the boy Fernandes for the middle of nowhere when we could have had Katic, and look what he's doing at Port Vale. This is what I mean. People are saying the same about Gerrard. They can't look back. People are saying the same about, "Oh, you can't look back. That's yesterday's, man." Sometimes you've got to just do what's in front of you. Last season, Shankland there, Christmas time, go and get him and win the league. "Oh, we don't want him." This year, Lennon Miller, "Oh, we don't want him." Come back. Mate, see, for me, that's a totally different discussion if you go and get Katic, because you're maybe going, well, Katic and Souttar playing together look solid, but you're not going to drop your best centre half, your best siege centre half, because Hibs will play the big long ball all day long. They'll play for set pieces, they'll play for throw-ins, they'll put big long throw-ins in, they'll stick all their big men up. You're not going to put proper in there, are you, if you can avoid it? So I think, in answer to your question, nah, mate, I reckon he's got to play his full strength.
Ross, I think you touched on a great point, and I'll take this to you, Ricky. Ross mentioned Fernandes. I think most of the folk in the comments, CGM alluded to it, people have forgot all about him. And I think this touches on a wider issue, which is the jury, for me, if I was in it, it's already decided on Niles Coppin, but for some reason, with certain, members of the fan base are still, give him another summer. I think with the takeover, it's got to lead to him to have nothing to do with player recruitment, because I always say you get the 2-year rule at Rangers. See, if you've not won the league in 2 years, you shouldn't be here and you should be moved out. And all these players that have come in and are shaping this team up under Coppin have been here this 2 years and have done sweet F all in terms of domestic football, Ricky. So where do we stand now with this guy? Should he be chased back to Holland along with Proper come the summer? Because I don't think he understands the type of player that's needed for domestic football.
No, I totally agree, mate. And I mean, you look at Cortez, we're struggling how we're going to get out of that deal. You've got Fernandez as well. I mean, these are players. These guys are fit, you know. They're young and they can't get a game. I mean, Fernandez, we need a centre half. Proper has proven that he can't play in Scotland. You know, he's not used to the long balls. He absolutely bricks it. He's like Ferguson at the end of the match when he turned his brogues to ice skating mode. That's what Proper's like when he's trying to defend. It's so for me, I totally agree with you. We're linked today with a guy from Arsenal for something to do with the scouting department, but the scouting department again is going to need an overhaul. So that's why I think it has to be a British manager that knows Rangers and knows what this job is all about, because I'm really worried about Coppin. I don't think he's got the capability to bring in the amount of players that we need to turn the squad around. Like Ross says, just what optics, the players that are going to be leaving are your Hadjis, your Lawrence, they're not going to be signing new deals. Fernandez will probably move on at the end of the season. You've got Proper, Bajrami, all these players. I mean, that's before you even speak about like Yefte, Yilmaz, Igaman. You know, it's like people are absolutely sleeping on how big an overhaul we need at the end of the season, and bringing in players like Fernandez and stuff like that. They're obviously no suited to Scottish football. The guy had not played a game in France for about a year because he wasn't good enough to play in France. So how was he going to come in for 6 months and deliver what we needed to be able to play in Europe? Listen, our season's still live. We've got a massive game coming up in Europe. Our defender is out, Suter. This position is important, and that was an important signing in January to help us at this stage of the season for Europe. And again, Coppin's been found wanting, and we've got no left winger. Cortez, he's like Ferguson thinks he's absolute junk. Fernandez, Ferguson thinks is absolute junk. He's not even on the bench. So, again, we need a proper scouting department that's going to find the right gems and the right players with the right mentality to play for Rangers, because 100% you can see it ripping out of the squad. And Ferguson, say what you want, whether he's the right man or the wrong man, but he's saying it as it is in press conferences, and he's saying it as it is after the game. It's the mentality of these players. He's trying to get mentality. But I don't think mentality is that easy to get into a squad of players. It takes time, and you have to build it. You have to build it with success and victories from the start. So it's a very difficult job for any manager who comes in.
No, I think that's a fair point, Ricky. And obviously, what builds mentality is winning things, and unfortunately, we've not won anything tangible in long enough. But Ross, where do you stand on Coppin? Because when he was brought in, the board, and we know the Rangers board have done this over the years, but much heralded when he was brought in. But Ross Wilson, us fans weren't convinced on him and felt the time was right when he moved on. But this guy has certainly not been an upgrade. If we look at it, Ricky mentioned Bajrami. They're £3.5 million down the Swanee that we'll never see back. And that's just, you know, we spoke about Proper, £1.5 million for a 31-year-old centre-half that does not have the physicality to play in this league. So you've wasted £5 million in your two big summer signings last year. Your only January window signing has played against Queen's Park for 25 minutes or whatever. So in terms of Coppin, will he just be sort of shuffled out come the summer, do you think?
I'm no coping with this chat about him, mate. I'm no coping at all, man. You look at what I don't like about the guy, mate, is he's steadily got promoted now up to one of the top jobs in the club. And you look at, we talked earlier about no seeing what's at the end of your nose. Last season, people, 3 million Shankland would have cost you at Christmas. And we went and spent 2.5 million on David Silva or whoever the fuck it was. What was his name again? Was it Silva? Was it Silva? We went and got him, 2.5 million loan fee, and he was balls. You could have went and got Lennon Miller. We might put a deal in place to go and sign Diomande. You've got Bajrami that you've spent £4 million on that you could have got one of the 3 years to go and play. I was going to say for the 4 years, but no JD. Cortez missed 90% of the games in his 6-month loan spell, and we go and rather than taking him on loan for another year, take him with an obligation to buy. Can't he get near a squad? He's been fit now for ages. Can't even get near. You're playing against Dundee and you're bringing on other boys and he can't get a sniff. He's not very good. I was getting buttered the other day for saying that he's rotten. I watched him warming up and then I watched him against Gerard Taylor for Hearts, first game of the season at Tynecastle right in front of me. And he's not even fast. He's not even got pace, by the way. He can't go by a man. But we've went and committed 3.5-4 million and next year's money on him. So see that 3.5-4 million, that's a good bit of the first payment on Czerny that you can't make because you've got some bottle job playing on the other wing that can't even get in a squad when we're at our worst. So if we want to get better, how you go better? You look at, as I say, bringing in Fernandez when you could have went and got a Katic that's been here, done it, physical, knows the league. You're bringing in Proper for 1.5 million quid. That was just, it was like the old Black Friday sales, man, where the telly's down to £299, but you take the label off and it was actually £299 yesterday. Or you can get him for 1.5 million quid, but you need to get him by Monday. And we're like, oh, fuck, hey, hold on a minute, I'll go and get the checkbook. Like that, mate, what are you doing, man? And then he's now promoted again. He's now overseeing everything. A guy who came recommended as a decent scout, which is what he can be because he's now in charge of recruitment and he's moved up to technical director. And I'm like, for what? What's he done to deserve that promotion? What's he done? What's he brought in? You look at, as I say, Diomande, you'll maybe make your money back on him. But you could have went and got a young 18-year-old, 17-year-old at a time, Lennon Miller, who absolutely dominated him when Motherwell beat us at Ibrox. Dominated him. So look, you've got me riled up, man. You've got me riled up talking about the guy. I don't get it, mate. And rather than getting rid of him, we just seem to move him sight. It's like moving the fucking deck chairs on the Titanic. I don't understand why he keeps getting moved, but he's not moving down. He's moving sideways and up all the time.
He got demoted. He got demoted.
Did he not bring in that Zed Jacobs as well? And he left this week as well?
No, it wasn't Jacobs. It was another guy that was in charge. It was the one after Jacobs. He left ages ago. It was another guy who was in charge.
It begins with a Z or something like that.
The 49ers, as soon as this group came in and started looking under the bonnet, they'd noticed that with Coppin as well. They said straight away that he got demoted already. He was doing like the director of football role, and they says, nah, you're not qualified for that. And he's back to being like in charge of scouting again, like the job that he was promoted to do when he came to Rangers. So he's actually been demoted already. But I think, like you said, his nose might be out of joint. So at the end of the season, he might end up. Hopefully takes all the TVs he's brought into Rangers with him and buggers off would be the best for all.
What's he going to do? But is he going to go and get a job as an extra in the Sopranos remake or something? That's all good for, man. Like, what's going on? Between him and Dobby, I don't know what's going on. A pair of caricatures, man.
But gentlemen, I have enjoyed your company very much this evening. I've really enjoyed that. It was a thoroughly good laugh, and I think we've done a deep dive and covered all things. So thanks very much, Ross. It was good to see you, mate.
Always a pleasure, Davey.
Ricky, good to see you, mate. You're looking healthy.
Thank you, pal. Have a good man. Thank you. Superb.
And it just leaves me to say it's good night from them, and it's good night from me. Good night.